Today we're going to be talking about planting your spring garden and planting seeds indoors. So today we have a few things that I wanted to kind of lay out for you on some basic things that you need to use for your starting seeds indoors. Now you don't have to anything really elaborate. Some of these things are really simple, and I'll give you some of the basics on what I do and how you would want to start your own seeds indoors. It's January right now, and so we're already planning our spring garden. Some of the vegetables that we're going to talk about you can actually start putting in the garden right away, but most of these you're going to wait till it gets a little bit warmer past your frost date. Now, some of the things that you want to consider, first of all, most importantly, is you want to know what the location is of where your garden is going to be. So maybe you're just starting off and you don't even have a location. You want to find a nice location. We're going to do actually a video on starting a new raised bed and finding that ultimate location for your garden. But most importantly, I want you to think of a nice place where you would be comfortable with your garden. The second thing that you want to do is choose vegetables that are in your palate. So in other words, I always use this example. I'm not against eggplant, but I don't really like eggplant. So I'm not going to plant eggplant in my garden. So if you love eggplant, then plant eggplant. But that's not going in my garden, I'm just saying. So plant things that you would eat or that you like. So pick some seeds that you like and go for it. Plant those seeds. So pick vegetables that you're going to like, that you're going to eat, that you can use. And then the other thing that you can do is first is find out what your hardiness zone is, your planting hardiness zone. That is going to be the zone that you're in. You can find that online. I'll put a link in the comments below, and that will tell you what types of plants will go in your area. Okay, and more importantly is before you start your seeds indoors, you want to know when your last frost date is. Again, I'll throw a link in the comments below where you can find out when that last frost date is in your zone or in your area, and then you're going to count back, depending on the variety that you're planting, 6 to 8 weeks from that last frost date, 6 weeks or 8 weeks before that. So we're in January already. We're about 7 weeks from our last frost date in March. I think it's the 17th this year. And so we're already planning the different things. So let's get right into it, and I'll kind of give you some basics on how you're going to start this. So as I mentioned, there's all kinds of different ways that you can start your seeds. Most importantly, first I would like to point out that you do want to use some type of seed starting potting mix. Again, it doesn't have to be this particular brand. There's all kinds of some people swear by different ones. There's all kinds online. But the bottom line is when you're doing your seed starting, you want to make sure that it's a seed sprouting or seed starting mix. Okay. Once you do that, you want to pick your soil, and you're going to take your soil and you're going to take boiling water and you're going to pour that over the soil here. Now, you can either put that in the microwave. You can also put it in your oven and bake it. Now, why do we do that? The main reason that you're doing that is there's little micro spores in here and little things that could cause problems with your new seedlings. So you want to make sure that most of that's dead. Remember, on this seed starting formula, there's really no nutrition in there. There's really nothing in there. It's just a mixture of again, different things that are in here, but basically it's peat moss, or you can use cocoa coir, some vermiculite, which is these white little dots in here, and some inorganic matter, pretty much. So that's what you're going to use as far as your potting mix. Once you do that, what you put them in is, again, what you have available and what's up to you. this year, what I'm doing is I have a germination station, and this is, again, you can get this off Amazon. I'll put a link of where I bought this, but again, it's pretty simple. This particular one has 72 cells. The cells are going to hold your seed starting mix, and also what it has here is also a water collection station, and then it will also come with a dome that will help keep the humidity in. So once you plant, and we'll show you this at the end, but pretty much you just take this and put that over there, and that will keep your hydration or your humidity levels well so that your seeds will germinate. In this particular station that I purchased, it also comes with a heat mat. The heat mat is really great because it keeps your seeds at a nice warm temperature, and that's very important for germination. So you can turn on that heat mat and it keeps everything warm and allows those seeds to germinate a little bit quicker and with better germination percentage. So that's how we're going to start, and what we're going to do. Also here, again, you can use some of these. This is a 6-cell packet. Again, when I was buying some of my plants, you can still use these and recycle these, upcycle. Use these for other purposes, or you can use these bigger ones. So there's purposes for these bigger ones that you want to use. Certain ones you won't have to do what we call up potting. So once, with these here, because they're such small little plugs here, you're going to pretty much take those once they get to a certain level, and you're going to transplant them into something like this or something like this. Or you can plant your seeds directly into these, and then you don't have to worry about it. So a lot of it has to do with the amount of potting soil that you're going to be using and the space that you have and that kind of thing. So for our purposes today, we're going to just show you how to use this germination station with these, and of course we're going to take you through the process over the next 6 to 8 weeks, and then we'll continue that process, how we're going to transplant those out into the garden. So this is the varieties that I am planting. I'm also planting several other different vegetables that some of them you're going to plant directly into the ground, and that's more acceptable, and it's a better outcome usually. So things like green beans, peas, those zucchinis, maybe you can plant right directly into the ground. If you want to get a head start on things, you can plant them and start them indoors, and then you'll have a plant that you'll be able to plant out into your garden instead of planting seeds. So you get a little head start when you do this way. So first thing, most of these varieties that I have here are 6 to 8 weeks. You're going to start them 6 to 8 weeks before the last frost. So all of these are good except for the kale that I'm planting, and this one is, I think it says here, 4 to 6 weeks. So again, kale is a cold weather crop, so you can actually plant this right now, even though there's still some freezing weather out there. So that's not a problem. But again, so I'm going to go over what we're planting here: broccoli, and these are what's going into my garden. And broccoli, we got cauliflower. I'm going to put some cucumbers. Again, cucumbers are another one of those vegetables that you can put in directly into the ground. I have found, at least in my gardening experience, that when you put plants in, the success rate's a little bit better. So I'm going to plant a few seeds into the ground, and then I'm going to plant some of my transplants into the ground. And then that way you also have different growth periods, so that way you're not getting, like 20 or 30 cucumbers all at one time. You're going to get some that are smaller plants, and then some that are bigger plants that will produce the fruit. So that's another succession thing that you can do, succession planting. So we're going to plant, so I'm planting 2 different varieties of cucumbers. I'm going to be using the peppers. These are sweet peppers. I'm going to be using the Orange Sun and also the California Wonder. So those are our 2 bell peppers that we're using, and of course we're in the Southwest in El Paso, so we're going to be planting plenty of peppers. So I have Serrano peppers, I also have the jalapenos, and I also have the Poblanos. That's one of my favorite. The Poblano pepper is great for all kinds of stuff. So great success, as you saw in some of the videos that we had with my tomatoes this year, so I'm going to continue that. We're using the Better Boy hybrid, and we're going to be using the beefsteak. So those are good tomatoes, and then also I'm planting a super sweet cherry tomato. So that will help us get a different varieties of that. And then of course I have two different kale that we're going to be planting. This is the dinosaur kale, and then the other one is a dwarf blue curled kale. So again, just different varieties. If you're not really sure what to use, just buy something, experiment with it, see if you like it. Next year, plant it again, or don't plant it and find a different variety. I would also recommend that you write down what you're kind of journaling, what you're planting, what worked, what didn't work. That's very important too for next year's planning for your garden. So you're always planning ahead, thinking ahead. I'm kind of a nerd, so I also write out my plan of my garden, and I do square foot gardening. Again, I'll put a link down below in the comments about square foot gardening. I highly recommend square foot gardening, and you can maximize the space that you have. So you can Google that, a very simple way of gardening with square foot gardening. So let's get started, and what I'm going to do is we're going to get started with, first you're going to fill these little cells with your potting soil. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our soil, and you're going to just put them in these little cells and drop enough in there in each of these cells so that it just kind of sits in there. And then once you do that, then you're going to take your finger and you're going to just gently push down into each of those cells and kind of compact that a little bit. You don't want to do it too much, but you don't want it too light and fluffy either. So you're just going to do that, and then you can put a little bit more soil in there. Again, for the sake of time, I'm just going to kind of do a few of these cells just to kind of give you an idea. But I am going to do all of these cells, because then that way that gives you, we're going to, the most important thing is we want to make sure that we label everything. So once you put these in here, you're going to be able to plant. So again, pretty simple. Don't be intimidated by planting. Planting is amazing. It's so rewarding. Now, if you can see here, some of these different soil potting mixes, they have little pieces of sticks and wood and that kind of thing. So that's not necessarily what you're looking for in a good potting seed starting mix. You want something light and fluffy. I might do a video later on how to make your own, but again, want to try to keep it as simple as possible. First, for those of you that are interested in starting your own garden, starting your own seeds this year, saving a little money, you know, they're pretty expensive seeds, cost about, you know, between $2 and $3 or $4, and you get a lot of seeds, versus you go and you get a plant. Granted, the plant is already, somebody's already done the work for you, but you have the plant cost, you know, depending on $4, maybe some of them are $6, depending on where you're buying them at. So kind of keep that in mind. So now once we have this, okay, we have our cells pretty much done here. Then very simple. It's just, I'm going to put it this way, and I'm going to put that back in here just so you can see what I'm doing here. So what I'm going to plant first is we're going to use our Serrano peppers. So you're going to go ahead and just take your packet here and pour out a few of the seeds. Again, the seeds are very small. And I'm going to plant 3 plants here You make sure that you label them, and I'll show you how to do that in just a second. But basically all you're just going to do is you're going to just put your finger in there just a tiny bit, and I put 3 in there. I'm going to go ahead and just put the other 3 for the other plants. And you're going to put maybe 2 or 3 of the seeds in each hole, and that's all you're going to do. So again, this seed packet comes and it gives you directions. It says about 1/4 of an inch you're planting the seeds. Okay, and then that's it. And then from there, I'm going to put these back. And then I'm going to plant next the Poblanos. Okay, so the Poblano, and here's the fun thing. Look at those seeds. It's the exact same, almost exact same look as the other seeds. So you don't know what you're planting, so you make sure that you label these. Okay, so I got 1, 2, 3. I put 4 in there. This is 2 seeds in there, and then 1's in there. Okay, so now once you have your seeds, then from there, all you're going to do is just take, you can take a little extra soil if you like and kind of put that over, or you can just kind of move it that way. Once you have covered your seeds, again, make sure you label things. I'll show you what I did before. So that's pretty much it. So now I have 3 of my Serranos, 3 of my Poblanos. I'm going to continue that whole process here with my planting of my garden, and then I'll show you at the end here the different varieties of what I've done. So that's, but you're going to basically do that for all of the seeds starting for all of your different plants, however many plants you're going to do. Again, I have a whole variety, so most of these are going to be already filled up. And then from there, we'll just water it, and I'll show you the remaining part. So there you have it, 72 cells full of seeds that we're going to be planting in the spring. So I labeled all of these. You can't really see them that well, but pretty much everything is labeled, and that way we have an idea of what we're putting in, because a lot of them will come up and they'll look the same. So you're going to go ahead and water this gently. I'm going to spray it real gently with a mist. And then what you're going to do, and I love these containers here, so you're going to bottom water them. You're going to put water in the bottom. You want the water to wick up instead of coming straight down, because then that disturbs the plants. And also you can get some, you can get different kinds of bacteria and fungi that will go on the top. So you want to put your water from below. You're not going to put any fertilizer or anything like that until they start growing, and then we'll talk about that at that point. So you're going to put this on your grow mat here, and then I'm going to put this out for 3 days, 2 to 3 days, until you start to see some germination. Then I'm going to put it under my grow lights, and we'll keep this on here to keep everything moist. And that will be, we'll do another video in about 3 days to show you the process and how that looks. But that's pretty much your 72 seeds for starting for the spring, and happy growing for the new spring season. If you have any questions, please put some comments below, and I'll be sure to answer each one of you. Thanks.